Hello and welcome to Flory Models Friday Roundup Show. Here we are with you on the 20th of May 2022 after another really busy week. Been pushing on a lot, lots of things going on behind the scenes as well with sort of merch, new products coming into PM Store, various things like that, and it is quite exciting times at the moment. Anyway, all started off on Monday with the F15E. This is all about the weathering section really. As you can see down in here, usual thing, dark dirt wash right the way over this one, and then going through the motions of obviously removing it. We talk about different ways of actually doing it, but usual thing, damp cloth, go through and obviously show up all that gorgeous riveting. And you can probably see how fine the detail is on this absolute kit. So it comes together very nice on here. Then we talk obviously about using oils. So in this case, we're using neat oils to do streaking and just sort of wear and tear effects, as you might imagine, right the way through. So by using different blends, as you can see, where we sort of put in the lighter with the greys, it lightens up the work quite nicely. And now we're going to put in some streaking with some darker oils as well. So you get that nice sort of streaking effect mixed in with it. So it's just a good way of breaking up the overall colours. Obviously gunship grey is quite a difficult colour to work with, but hopefully you can see sort of before and after. We've done this half, but obviously not this half here. You can see how it just adds that next layer into your weathering as you're making your way through. All right, same thing, obviously we did post shading down onto the engines using oils as well, which is obviously a good little technique if you're ever worried about ruining your metal finishes and things like that. And that was really it for down in there. So lots of bits and pieces covered down in there. Tuesday was obviously my little vlog show. As you can see, we were going through the motions of this one. I'd say a little bit of merch just that came out, which is our new black mouse mats instead of the white ones, purely because the white ones get absolutely filthy. So I thought the black ones, not only is it in keeping with the rest of our range, but it's probably keep a little bit cleaner, if I'm honest, going through on there. And then obviously we're talking about all things from the actual, from the site and the forum, some of the various details that are going on down in there. And then obviously the big thing is we had the Voodoo review up. Now this goes back to what we've been talking about on various shows recently about some of the classics. So I've started to do the vintage kit review series, as I'm calling them. So start off with, we've got the Voodoo down here. So we're going to be working through monograms. So I've got quite a few of them, thanks to Mikey, who sent us a load over from the US. And so I am going to be building this one as well. I'll be starting this one literally in a couple of weeks. When I get a few jobs out of the way, I'm going to be doing this one. So again, a little bit of a classic homage back to it. And again, yes, this kit is very old. It's mid-80s. So consequently, the decals have had it. But let's face it, aftermarket is not a problem. But as you can see from the instructions, very much classic monogram. Pretty straightforward. Again, really nice detail with the engines and with the wheel wells and things like that, and with the actual cockpit. And again, you've got the various options with the different weapons if you want to put through on that one, the fuel tanks, various things. But the kit itself, even though it is a mid-80s kit, and yes, of course it is raised panel lines, the panel lines are very crisp and sharp, as you can probably see here. So that's the thing to this one. So it's going through, and again, the detail down inside these speed brakes, for instance, and to say the wheel wells and the cockpit are absolutely fantastic. So you can see beautiful details. So if you can get past the raised panel lining, it's actually a really nice kit. You know, it's got just a couple of little sink marks, but nothing over the top. But generally the detail is absolutely exquisite right the way through. So I'm really looking forward to, as we always talk about inspiration, what sparks your inspiration. This kit is doing it for me at the moment, because I actually can't wait to get on with it. So I'm having to sort of hold back from just jumping in and going now. But again, we're not going to rescribe it or anything else like that. We're literally going to leave it, and we're going to try and put in raised panel lines and details back in, which I think is more of a challenge than actually rescribing it. Anyway, clear parts, look at that, no centre seams, and they're crystal clear as well. So, that's what we're saying about this kit. It is very nicely done. So it should be a lot of fun, particularly with our new series that we're doing at the moment, we'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, so anyway, that's that particular one. As I say, it's here, the review's up, have a look at it. I know there's loads of you, obviously Flory members, are on about joining in with me as well. Be an absolute pleasure, because obviously we can all follow along and do it together. But as I said, the big thing with this is going to be taking an old kit that's actually really nice, but it will be dismissed these days because it's been superseded by more modern kits. So for instance, the Kitty Hawk one, if you can get it, and that's all recessed, but that's got modular build design. At least this is all in one. So the biggest challenge is going to be putting all the raised details back in, because that's what we want to do. And then we're going to work with those raised details to do things like the weathering, how that's going to be affected. Obviously, I'm not sure exactly what markings I'm going to go for yet. I've looked online, there's tons of decals aftermarket for it, but it should be a hell of a lot of fun when working our way through it. So yes, something to get your teeth back into on there. Wednesday, obviously, it was the PM show. So, usual thing from the actual PM store, or what's news going on. Obviously, we've spoken to a lot about, we've got the 3rd gen paints, which actually have come in today. So, they'll be put into stock over the weekend and hopefully be available to buy next week. So, if you're looking for your 3rd gen paints from AK, then we have got them all in. We've got them as individuals and various bits and pieces. So, again, everything you can obviously want all in one place over at the PM store. We'll have a look at that a bit later on. Also, Matt did put up the next part of his actual Hobby Boss 1/35 scale Land Rover Wimick, and again he's done all the paintwork, and again he's using, as you can see in the background, the actual 3rd gen paints and airbrushing them with their thinners, and he's having absolutely fantastic results. He's done a little bit of weathering with it, a little bit of post shading, things like that on there. So if you want to catch up with our members, if you click on here, that'll take you off to the video and you can catch up with that one. All right, so that one's just down in there. So really that was Wednesday. Last night we had the live show. Again, this is one of those ones where I say loads of fun and games and various things that was going on, as you might imagine. The bits and pieces, if I click on here, it should just take me over to the video. There we go. So obviously we were looking at all the stuff. Andy's currently obviously still working on his little egg plane, the little, was it an F2? Which is the Japanese version of the F-16. Nathan's working on some big 1/24 scale trumpeter 109s and a little 7-second Jag. Matt obviously is working on his little Wimick here, but also he was showing us his 32nd scale Lancaster that he's doing at the moment as well, which is looking absolutely fantastic. And then John as well is working on a 109 and obviously all the bits and pieces, and I was showing about the F-15, and then obviously we're answering all your questions as we always do right down in there, just like that. And there we go. That brings us bang up to today, which obviously we got part 9 now, has just gone up live for the F-15E. And in this one, it's really just getting everything together. So we've got the HUD all sorted out and installed into this one. We were getting the clear parts all done, so a little bit of PVA glue into the framework and getting that sitted in. I have to say, that's a mega fit. I've never known a multi-part cockpit like that to drop in with no filler. So the front one just dropped in there, no problem at all. The rear deck goes in and then the clear part, and there's not a gap anywhere on it. And I haven't even glued any of this in place yet, as you'll see in a minute. So that's looking really, really nice. And then obviously we were just having a look at it, making sure we're all happy, making our way round. Obviously we've got the pylons all installed, all the bits and pieces going on now. We've got the crews all painted up, so we used some PJ Productions aftermarket 48 scale figures, although I haven't had to give them the old Douglas Bader effect and take them off at the knees to be able to get them in. But they're in. And then we were looking at the plinth. So I've got a solid oak plinth. And then obviously we were just doing the calculations of how we're actually going to get the stand to fit in and how it's going to go, and then boring it out to get those in. So we've got 15mm acrylic rod down in here, and this is me just trying to roughly work out my angles of how it's all going to stand and how it's going to go and stuff like that. And here she is. So this stand isn't finished yet. What we need to do is a few things still to go here. So down in here we're going to cut these back so this comes further in. It's a little bit too long on that side, and then obviously we've got to paint to the heat effects down into this one, but hopefully you can see she is on her stand now, looking very nice. So very, very happy of how this has turned out. She's looking very much the part, and I think on the stand like this, it's that thing where you're like, yeah, okay, I really like it. It's really, really come to life on this one. It's just one of those ones where sometimes you get an aircraft in flight looks so much better than it does on the ground. Don't get me wrong, there's other aircraft that look good on the ground as well, but the F-15 is definitely one of those aircraft that looks so much better in flight. On the ground, no, it's not really happening, but in flight it just looks like pure speed. So really, really enjoying. So next week it's just going to be a case of finishing off this stand, getting these painted up, shortened up, tightened up and all the rest of it. Obviously we've got to arm it, we're going to sort all those out. We've got to do the lights and the aerials, but obviously, and get the pods on, but obviously I couldn't do any of that until we had it on the stand because I can't put it down, because obviously the sniper pod and that is very long on these. They hang a long way down, so consequently I wanted to make sure we got it in the stand, it's all good, and I can fix it onto here, add all the final details to it, and then we'd be good to go for the final reveal. So really I think there's probably only going to be one more part on this one, so I think it's going to be a 10-parter to finish off. It might creep into 11, I'm not sure, probably not. I'll make it a longer video right the way through. So yeah, absolutely brilliant kit. The more I'm getting near the end on this, the more I'm actually disappointed, because it's been a fantastic build. I know I screwed it up all the way through, as you know, but from my point of view the kit is fantastic. All the errors are totally mine. I've had a lot of fun with this one, and it's been a great mojo build as well for moving on to some of the other stuff. Speaking of which, big thing on Monday, because I've got to edit it all over the weekend, I am doing this kit, which you might remember I did this 18 years ago, but I did the 2-seat version as one of the very first video builds on what was Pro Modeler, obviously Flory models now, back in the day. So it's a little bit of a homage. So what I've done is I've taken the original video, which is a free to watch video for everyone else, got that, it's the old format, and then I'm building alongside it with these is what we got here. So we've got the front and the major sections in, and then I'm basically stopping myself as we're going through. So you'll hear me say, right, hold that, that's wrong. You don't want to do it like that anymore, purely because over the last 20 years, everything's changed. We've got new products, I've got better ways of doing it. But personally, my way of building, the way I did it 20 years ago is not how I do it now. So consequently, it's that thing. I'm like, hold on. Yeah, probably correct at the time, but nowadays I would do it this way. And one of the biggest differences you can see between then and now is how I test fit and dry fit everything with an obsession almost. And this is paying dividends, because already I've pretty much got it perfect underneath here, where in the video obviously we hit it with a load of filler. And then have to rescribe and put in all the details back in, where this way we've used scrape cleaning and a lot more test fitting, and basically make sure it's good before we commit to glue. So, you know, dry fitting and stuff like that, and it's going to save, I think, a lot of detail won't get ruined with it. But again, it's quite nice because obviously products have changed, my techniques have changed, and I'm doing literally a side by side, and that goes down in the early stages. You'll see in part 1 where I'm on about the tools, because obviously I've still got some of those original tools that we spoke about in that original video, and I go off and get them and show you, and then I explain, like the orange scissors, why I don't use orange scissors anymore like I used to. And again, a lot of it was ignorance from me from back in the day, but this way it's a way of sort of rectifying it and saying, look, this is how you really want to do it. Yeah, so doing it limited tools, limited environment and everything else back in the day compared to now is quite interesting really. So yeah, one of those things really. Anyway, other thing to talk about, obviously, is over on the PM store. As we said before, we've got lots of bits and pieces coming in over here, but don't forget the mega 25% sale is still going on. These parts are changing, as you can see, all the time, where stuff is going out of stock. You know, obviously the Lancasters have all gone now, and all the other stuff down in here as well. So if you want to get anything, all these kits are 25% off, so you can just go through, have a perusal all the way through here, and see what you can pick up down in there. All right, so again, some great deals just down in there. Have a look, see how it goes. Again, we are adding to it, and obviously things are being removed out of there all the time. All right, we've also got obviously the new arrivals area, some lovely bits in. We've got the armory ones down in here. Great sort of, you know, with the flying boats and everything else, with the fly catchers, those have come in. Obviously we've got these we've spoken about before. We've got back in stock, because obviously Matt's doing it now, that no section of the Lancaster as well. And again, we've got these other ones from Art Models. And again, we were talking about classic old kits. This is the thing with Art Models. These are old classic kits, but they're not massive amounts of money, and they're a hell of a lot of fun to do. So if you fancy getting yourself something a little bit retro, we've got some of the Art Model stuff in here as well. So again, it's just one of those things where we thought, you know what, we're doing a lot on old classic kits, so we'll get some of those in as well. As well, we've got the latest releases obviously from Airfix, and we've got a restock obviously of Edard and Academy and various things down in here as well. So if you want to grab any of those, you can do just down in there. And then don't forget the special offers area. It's going to get updated next week, so it will change out. So if you see anything in here, grab it now. But we've got some nice things down in here. We've got obviously the Messerschmitt slightly damaged box collections as well. So again, when we say lightly damaged box, these aren't kicked in. They have got maybe a dented corner, but the boxes are absolutely fine. It's just very, very light. If anything's heavily damaged, obviously we will do it. But the contents are always 100% fine, no problem at all. But anyway, all of those down in there. But again, be careful, because these will swap out, I think, next week. All right, so if you want to grab any of these over the weekend, do that before those obviously move over just like that. As I said before, we have got the actual real colours, sorry, not real colours, the 3G colours or the 3rd gen acrylics, full range. The racks have all arrived and everything else like that. We'll get them set up over the weekend and obviously early next week, and they'll be available to get. So if you are thinking along those lines, obviously we've got all the thinners and all the other stuff to go with it as well. So you can grab all of those from us. And that was this week Next week should be a lot of fun to say, because we're going to be finishing off this little guy. We're going to be working on the Jag as well, showing you along with that one, so that'll be a lot of fun. Don't forget, on Tuesday you've actually got the Not a Vlog show with obviously me and Matt live in the afternoon, so if you want to join in with that one, that'll be fantastic as well. And as I say, we've got lots of bits and pieces starting to go on and ramp up now. Plus the fact I'll be back with you as well doing a couple of reviews, so obviously we'll be looking at obviously some of the other classics from Monogram, like their B25. We've got the B29 you might have seen last night on the show, and lots of other kits, including some very tasty classics as well. So I'll be doing the reviews of those who's make on with the week. That's about it for this week. As always, on a Friday, I'm going to leave you with your great work from the gallery. So until next week, everybody, happy modelling. Take care.
I was not ready to fall in like I'm wasted. My heart grows heavy. Don't taste me rushing and keep your words naked. You got me blushing, and you forever I'll follow. You'll be my holy ground. You forever I'll follow in immortality. I can see you and me free in immortality. I can see you and me free. You left me crying and running through a ghost town, alone and stranded. Why leave me hoping and guessing for the answer?